Now, the first thing I want to cover is rarity. And there seems to be a lot of confusion between the terms rare and the term scarce. Now, lots of games are rare, and this may mean anything to they've had a limited print run, or there's some sort of error in a certain batch or the first batch of games or whatever, and this determines rarity. Doesn't necessarily equate to value. A terrible game can be rare, but by virtue of the fact that nobody wants it doesn't make it scarce. You can always find it, and you'll always find multiple copies of it. Scarcity is the thing that, generally speaking, will add value. Now, a game can have 5,000 copies. If 10,000 people want it, that's going to make the game very scarce. But, you know, that's sort of how it works. There's a lot of publishers that only release 5,000 sort of a run of 5,000 copies of a game. Atlas and NIS, I think, is the other one that sort of do that. They'll release these games in limited quantities, and everybody thinks because of that these are going to skyrocket in value. Well, sorry, not everything Atlas puts out is gold dust. Okay, a lot of it is really boring, long RPGs. Not all of them, some of them are really good, but the vast majority of stuff they put out are just boring. They're not, they're just long-winded and long-ended stories with loads of cutscenes quite often and not much happening. So they don't generally make good games, or certainly not games you'd want to put the 100 hours into. Hey, that's my opinion. So although they may be rare on account of the fact they may only print 5,000 of them, that doesn't mean they're going to be scarce ever. Although it may bump up their value, the rarity, scarcity is what really bumps up the value. If you can't get the thing that you want, and you go on eBay and there's only ever 2 copies, you know, in the whole country that are up for sale, that's scarce, and that's the thing that really adds value. The other thing connecting to this is that you have to know your games. And this is especially true when it comes to things that just have loads and loads of filler in the collection, like PlayStation 2 and Wii suffer from this especially. Now, a lot of PlayStation fans will, you know, you always hear this in sort of the one direction. A lot of people that collect for PlayStation, they'll say to the people who have Wii, Nintendo Wii systems, and I go, oh, it's just crap, it's just sports games and shovelware. And you sort of, you know, I collect for both, and I sort of think, well, have you had a look at the library of games available for the PlayStation 2? It's not much better. And in fact, as a percentage, the amount of shovelware on a Wii might be higher. In terms of the actual number of games, PlayStation 2 is about the same. You know, it's just a question of, also it's a question of what you like. But you can always fall into the trap with PlayStation 2 and Wii, and in fact PlayStation 3 to a smaller extent, where there is an awful lot of just shovelware crap, and it is very tempting if you want to get a collection started, or bulked up for one of these consoles, to just keep buying these 50p, £1 bullshit games. My advice to you would be, don't. Have a think. Know the games. Play the games, perhaps, if you get the opportunity. Maybe look at some reviews or something like that. Because I'll tell you what, when I see somebody's collection, 100 brilliant games always looks better to me than 1,000 bullshit bowling games or, you know, whatever. You can have 1,000 boxes of shovelware crap. If you haven't got anything I can see that I would like to play, that to me is not a good games collection. That's just boxes, you know, boxes of nothing. So know your games, find out about the games, be knowledgeable about how they actually work and how they play, and you know, curate yourself a nice little collection where you've got pretty much everything you want to pick off the shelf is something you want to play. And if you do end up with some rubbish games, just sell them on. You know, nobody wants to have a complete Wii set or a complete PS2 set. Don't be mad. You know, most of it is rubbish. You know, the discs are just frisbees. You'd have more fun flinging the disc to a friend in the park than you would actually playing the thing. So, you know, that's one thing. And the last thing I want to talk about when it comes to rarity and massive collections is your mindset. Never, ever, ever fall into the trap of thinking that game collecting is going to be an investment. It never will be. And I'll tell you for why. There are lots of people that thought this with lots of different systems over the time. And you know, you can do these crazy. Yeah, if you buy things at the right time and you sell at the right time, yeah, you can make some money. But is it going to be the sort of money that's actually going to change your life? No, it's not. You know, likelihood is you wouldn't even be able to buy a car with the money, the profit you would make on those games. And how long would you have to sit on them in order to make that profit? If it's any more than a year, forget it. Never think of game collecting as an investment, because it's not. It never will be. It's not a good investment. If you're spending a couple of £100 on games, and thinking they're going to jump up to £2,000 in a couple of years' time, it's not going to happen. Sorry. It's just not. It doesn't work like that. And this is the sort of thing that goes back to rarity and scarcity. A lot of the times games get scarcer, and yeah, the price does go up, but it doesn't go up to the extent that, you know, you could buy a game for 40 and sell it for 80. But if you've had to sit on it for 3 years to sell it at 80, what are you doing? You know, you could have done so much better with that money than just having stuff around that you then need to sell 3 years down the line. It's madness. I mean, bearing in mind also that the full price of these games when they came out, I mean, it just, you know, they've gone down about as far as they can, and most people that want them have bought them at their lowest price, or they bought them when they were released. There's going to be very few collectors in the future that are going to pay top whack for anything that you're sitting on. They'll wait till they can find it cheaper, or they'll wait till somebody else who doesn't know what it's worth is getting rid of it on a boot sale. So the likelihood you're actually going to find a buyer for your high price games is very slim indeed. So my advice would be is get your mindset right. Don't collect to invest, because there are far better ways to invest your money. And also, if you don't really know anything about the games, you're not really going to know what you've got in hand anyway, and you're not going to be able to make good judgments on what is going to go up.